Welcome, everybody, to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be recapping a couple trades that the Padres just made. Overall, definitely an underwhelming deadline. Not many deals, and you see some massive deals, both to the Giants and the Dodgers. We're going to go over the whole deadline tomorrow. We're going to do a live stream at noon with Ryan Cohen. That is the plan. There's a chance that time changes, but I'm expecting it to be at noon. So noon tomorrow, Saturday, with Ryan Cohen. We're going to be talking just all about the trade deadline, and you guys make sure to join so we can answer your questions as well and, get to see everyone's opinion and whatnot. But today we are just going to be going over these two trades. So Daniel Hudson, reliever from the Nationals, he has been really good this year. Right now, repping a 2.2 ERA, under a 1 WHIP at 0.92, and he has 48 strikeouts in 32 and 2/3 innings. Yeah, so he's looking really good this year. Definitely has struggled in the past. 2020 didn't have good numbers, but 2019 he had really good numbers as well. Chase, what are your thoughts on this Daniel Hudson trade?
I like it. I like Daniel Hudson as a reliever. I think he's really good. Had the World Series experience with the Nationals in 2019. So you know what? There's that. He has playoff experience. He does fit the role that, hey, you know what? He's a fresher arm. He's probably going to throw a few more innings. He has, I think, some closing experience. He's a high velocity guy, has some pretty good secondary. He's kind of like your prototypical fit for a late inning reliever, high leverage reliever that we sort of been lacking outside of. I wouldn't say lacking, but sort of needed, because you have Palm and you have Pagan, but Pagan kind of struggles here and there, and Palm is finally back, but we don't know if another injury is going to pop up for him. So it's kind of just a good replacement and just addition in general. So I'm really happy with this Hudson deal. We didn't give up too much for him. Yeah, I thought it was a solid deal overall.
Yeah, I'm happy with the deal too. Chase nailed it on the head. Very hard to be upset with this deal. I know we didn't come away with the starter, but got to look on the bright side here. One of the biggest takeaways that we're coming away with, possibly the best bullpen in baseball. We're probably gonna have to go a little bit of a starter by committee, which is a little unfortunate unless some of these guys are able to pick it up. But knowing we have a rock solid bullpen in case things turn for the worst, for example, Blake Snell outing that just happened against the A's, it's good to know that there's going to be a solid bullpen waiting. And that's kind of been the case all year. Very depleted bullpen, definitely. But always good to add an arm that isn't as depleted as the other guys. Didn't give up too much for him. Very exciting. I mean, it's just exciting out of the bullpen at least. But like you said, Matt, very underwhelming trade deadline. I know we all expected more, and I'm not going to be mad at AJ Preller because – well, I'm going to be mad at AJ Preller for one thing he did, but other than that, I'm not going to be mad at him because, I guess at least he tried, just got outbid. He's brought a lot of really solid players to this organization. He made this organization relevant again, so I'm going to vouch for AJ Preller there, but very, very happy that we got Daniel Hudson. Like I said, going to be a solid bullpen piece.
And in return for Daniel Hudson, the Padres traded Mason Thompson and shortstop Jordy Barley. Thompson's also the guy that's headlining that deal. We saw him come out earlier. Definitely was wild, but he throws a fastball, a nasty fastball with a ton of velocity, but was really like all over the place in his time in MLB. I don't think it's like a huge loss that you're losing him. I know some people did view him as the eventual Padres closer. Now we know that's not going to be the case. I think it makes sense for what the Padres are trying to do. They're moving a future bullpen arm, a guy that's not going to be ready to contribute right now, for a guy that can contribute right now. I mean, that's really what this deal is. Makes sense. And when you look at the cost to get some of these other guys, I do think that it makes sense that Preller didn't go out and make some of these trades. You see the Jose Barrios deal; they give up a lot. And was it the Craig Kimbrell deal? They gave up a lot as well, right? Like there was a couple deals where it was just like, wow, that was like, it was clearly a seller's market. And especially when that came to relief pitching and starting pitching. So that's why you didn't see AJ Preller go and make a deal for one of these starters. I know we wanted to. And like we said, we're going to get into this whole deadline thing later. But overall, I thought that this Daniel Hudson move was a deal where it's like, all right, we don't want to go and lose a bunch of assets, but we want to at least add an arm. I did mention the last live stream when it was just me and Chase that I would kind of expect him to go and get at least one arm, and I think that would be doable. I did mean a starter. and that didn't happen. But like you said, Isaac, if you're trying to be positive about this, the bullpen is absolutely stacked. So that's going to be a very strong part for this team moving forward. Now, going into the next deal, Jake Marisnick. Very interesting deal. Now, the reason behind the deal, as you can see, Chase is not happy already. But the reason behind the deal is that he can hit lefties. And what I would expect that happens is that he can play center. He can play any of the outfield spots. The Padres don't have a great guy to back up Trent Grisham in center. As we've seen, they've put Jurickson Profar there. He's not a good center fielder. Same thing goes with Tommy Pham. Haven't seen Will Myers there really. I don't think we've seen him one game this year, but he has played there in the past. But don't really have a depth center fielder. So they get Marisnick. He hits lefties really good. The Padres line up against lefties. They haven't hit for a ton of power against them. I understand going for Jake Marisnick. Once again, also a very underwhelming name in this trade. But I understand the move, right? Now, I think my problem, and I know that you guys feel the same way, is that the Padres gave up way too much, especially when you look at a very similar deal, maybe not very similar, but similar in terms of how much they gave up, and that would be the Giants deal for Chris Bryant, because they gave their 10th and 30th prospects. And their 10th prospect has been struggling. Now, their 30th prospect is probably ranked a lot higher now because he's had a great year. Basically, he's been in A+ and AA, and he has like a sub 2.5 ERA, the Giants guy that they moved. But still, you add an arm and an outfielder, and then you get Chris Bryant. If the Padres would have added, another mid-tier prospect like that, you're telling me they could have came away with Chris Bryant, but instead they came with Jake Marisnick. So this is a very questionable move. Like I said, I understand the fit, but the value of giving up Espinoza in this deal is just it's a little confusing to me. And if you guys don't really know much about Espinoza, Chase, do you want to just get into who he is and really your overall thoughts on this deal?
So Espinoza was at one point, I believe, back in 2016. I think it was 2016. He was our number one ranked prospect. He's a pitcher, but unfortunately, he had Tommy John, I believe, in 2017, then again in 2019 because he had a setback. Or 2018, then he had a setback, and he's been working his way really, really slowly to make sure that nothing goes wrong because he was such a young kid, and he already had Tommy John twice. Make sure nothing goes wrong, and this is kind of the first year that we've seen him kind of make jumps into his development. Kid has a blazing fastball, amazing off speed, and the ability to locate his stuff for the most part. And going through the season, he had a rough start to the season, as his numbers kind of show. But if you look at his last 3 or 4 games, he's lights out. Absolutely lights out. He's probably thrown, I want to say, between 9 to 12 innings, and maybe giving up one run with a 2 to 17 strikeout ratio. He's been killing it, and he kind of fits that role. Hey, he will give you 2 to 4 innings at the most, depending on his pitch count because of his injury. And he can be an amazing bullpen arm or an amazing opener for someone like a Weyenreathers or a Lamet. Or you can throw all 3 in one game and call it a day and save the bullpen. And it looks like he was really close to making that jump to either AA or being able to contribute at the MLB level. And his stuff has been absolutely disgusting. I saw a video clip of his the other day with his slider. Absolutely disgusting. And you trade him away for a temporary bat that can only hit lefties. He hits under 200 against righties. When you just traded for a super utility guy in Adam Frazier who can also hit lefties and also can play the outfield and also do all these other positions, and you traded away a guy that can probably contribute this year later on, where in a position that's probably more needed than an outfielder that can hit lefties, especially by the name of Jake Marisnick. If you're going to give up a top 10 prospect, the guy that you're trading for shouldn't be hitting under 230 and only hit lefties. There has to be something that makes more sense. Like you were saying earlier, you give up something similar for Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant is so much better of a player than Jake Marisnick. He can play many more positions. He's an ex-MVP. he has so much more upside, and they're just going, but Jake Marisnick is right here. No, you don't trade for Jake Marisnick. I'm sorry. I hate the move. I hate this move. I hate this trade. I looked at my phone at work and I got heated. I was mad. I don't like it.
Yeah, I was going through Padres Twitter earlier, and there was like a one every 20 tweets that's talking about, oh, well, we needed a bench bat. Yeah, well, we didn't need to give up Anderson Espinoza to get a bench bat. That just makes no sense in my opinion. I don't know how the organization viewed him or anything. I viewed him as, a very good prospect. Viewed him at least next year, the following, coming in, providing some really good innings for the Padres. And I just don't understand giving him up for a guy like Jake Marisnick. Like, come on. What moments does Jake Marisnick have? Give me one. Give me one good moment Jake Marisnick has. He won a World Series. I mean, cool. The team cheated, but is what it is, right? I guess. You give up a guy like Espinoza when the Giants gave up their number 9 and their number 30 for Chris Bryant. Like, maybe he was already gone by then, but as we saw, apparently nobody's gone. Apparently there's no such thing as like a for sure agreed upon deal. Obviously, we know about that. As Padre fans know about that. It was just a frustrating deadline. You can't give him up. And I brought it up before we came on. I wasn't opposed to giving up Anderson Espinoza, but you don't give Anderson Espinoza for a guy like this. If you're going to give him up, you're going to give him up for a guy like, I guess, and I didn't even want him that bad, like Jose Berrios. Like, I understand he's not an ace, but like he would have been a really, really good pitcher for our rotation to have because he goes a lot of innings. And we're getting a guy who can't even throw a damn inning. He's not going to throw an inning. He's going to go out there. He's going to maybe hit, 230 in his time with the Padres, maybe 250. I don't know. And he's not going to provide much value to this team. He's not. As you can see, I'm frustrated. It's just, like I said earlier, it's not the fact, like, I'm not frustrated with AJ Preller, like, throughout this whole deadline. I was like, at least he's trying. He brought us, let's not forget, he made a James Shields for Fernando Tatis Jr. trade. Like, come on, he's able to pull off these kind of things. He's brought in Manny Machado. He brought over Jake Cronenworth, Tommy Pham, and he's made a lot of acquisitions. He made an acquisition at the deadline for Mike Clevenger. Unfortunately, hasn't worked out. Brought in Darvish, brought in Snell, brought in Musgrove. It's not his fault that these guys aren't working out. It's just a matter of you can't make that kind of trade. That's all I got.
Yeah, definitely understand the frustration. Like you said, like Chase said, Anderson Espinoza was the Padres' number 1 prospect at one point. Now that was many years ago. If you go and check out like his profile on MLB at Bat or whatever it is, you'll see he played in 2015, played in 2016, and this was his first time back to baseball. He would have played in 2020, but obviously no minor league season, so he didn't. But and also you look at his numbers, he has over a 5 ERA. Like you just look at it from afar, it doesn't look that special. But Chase has brought up, and Chase, you even talked about it when we went live last time. Espinoza could be a guy that they bring up if they don't make a move for a pitcher. You specifically said that. This is the need. Like, this is one of the biggest needs for this team. And yes, the Padres haven't hit lefties good. And Marisnick has, he has an 872 OPS against lefties. He's going to be a good hitter against lefties, right? But like Chase also brought up, we just brought in a guy named Adam Frazier. We all love the Adam Frazier deal. Adam Frazier can do the same thing. He can go in left field. He can do whatever it is. I think what this ends up doing is, I think against lefties, you're not going to see Eric Hosmer. You're going to see Cronenworth at first base. You're going to see Frazier at second. And you're going to see Myers out, and you're going to see Marisnick in. That's what I think's going to happen after all this deal. I think that's what will be what they roll out with most of the time against lefties. But overall, I do not like the loss of Anderson Espinoza, especially because he could have been a guy that they called up. Some people bring up Cops as being a guy that could come up later in the year. Espinoza was the same kind of mold, and he could potentially play a similar role. So not a fan of this move. I do like the Hudson move a lot. I think you guys feel the same way. It makes the bullpen a lot stronger. It's a good arm to bring on this team, but little confused about this Marisnick deal, and definitely could come around, and you'll see Espinoza pitching important innings down the line. So I think you definitely lose the value in terms of this deal. Overall, trade deadline wasn't upset really that Preller kind of, not like he sat it out. Like, I think people think that they act like Preller just sitting on his couch doing nothing. Preller was in on a lot of these deals. That was pretty clear. But he wasn't able to come out with some of them. Didn't want to give up the high level prospects. Going into the deadline, I was pretty confident that either Campy or Hassel were gonna get moved. Not the case. Hang on to both of them. They will be contributors down the road. But overall, one of the most frustrating moves, I think. Chase, you said it was one of the deals that you have not like the least out of lately, right?
I think it is the biggest head scratcher that Preller has probably done. Because just last year we for a guy that can hit right-handers really well, and I was like, okay, cool. I was really on board with Mitch Moreland. Is he lagging for you too? Okay. Are you good there, Matt?
Did you respond? Did I just interrupt you or something?
Yeah, you were it was cutting out, and I was like, wait, can you hear me?
Okay.
I think we're good now, though. All right. I think we should ask your question again, and I'll go.
Okay. Yeah, so Chase, was this one of the more frustrating deals that you've seen under AJ Preller, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was probably the biggest head scratcher trade for me because you didn't really get a necessity. It was kind of like last year. Last year when we traded for Mitch Moreland, I think all of us liked that trade because, he could hit righties. He was a good defensive first baseman. He would play some reps at first, and if not at DH, and provide a valuable bat off the bench. And now looking at this, you don't really see that. Yeah, he can hit lefties, but we didn't need a bench bat. We already have either Myers or Adam Frazier coming out the bench at first, and that still leaves Profar as the second bat, and then Nola or Caratini. That's three pretty decent bats coming straight off the bench. Caratini being a switch hitter and Nola being, one of the better hitting catchers in baseball. So you don't need that bench bat. Yeah, maybe you can say we needed an extra outfielder, but you don't give up a top 10 prospect for a guy like that. That's just my opinion. And, you've seen other outfielders go for probably around the same price. Like I kept mentioning Josh Harrison. He was traded today. The Nationals were on a legitimate fire sale. Why can't you just package him and Daniel Hudson together and call it a day and get both for what you wanted? And you can probably get away with sending Anderson Espinoza away in that instead of Mason Thompson and calling it a day. I don't know. There's just something you could have done, and getting rid of a guy that could have contributed this year for a temporary outfield bat that only hits against lefties, that's not a good move.
Yeah, definitely understand that. Isaac, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah. There's a tweet from Kevin Acee. Everybody hates Kevin Acee. I hate Kevin Acee. So for all we know, this could be a lie, just like the lies Ken Rosenthal told, but is what it is. AJ Preller said he will talk to certain players such as Eric Hosmer over the next couple of days. Additionally, he and Tingler are expected to address team before today's game to talk about rest of season. I don't know what that's supposed to be about. Super weird. I don't know what the heck they're going to tell him. What are they going to tell him? Good try, guys. Maybe next season. This team can still win. I don't care. I don't care. We got Jake Marisnick at the deadline. I don't care. We didn't make many moves. This team could still win. I'm fully confident in this team. Obviously we've all been Padres fans all our lives. I've never felt so confident that a team can do it. And if, I'll take this team 9 times out of 10. And lastly, I don't know if something's going to happen during the game. I don't know when this is going to come out, probably today. Trevor Story was pulled out of the lineup. Apparently the Rockies didn't get the memo that the trade deadline was plenty hours ago, which is super strange. So either he's frustrated or something weird is happening. But go Padres, keep riding, guys. Keep riding. This team's gonna impress some people.
Yeah, totally agree. So we're gonna come out tomorrow, noon, with Ryan Cohen. Chase, I think you're at work, so I think it's just gonna be me, Isaac, and Ryan. But we'll answer a bunch of guys' questions. But just wanted to get something out on both of these deals. Sorry it took a while. We wanted to all three be here to recap it, but that's where we're at. And